What's up, guys? The Farooqi Bros here, back with another podcast. And today we're going to be discussing a bunch of films, particularly on the international scene, films that are making some waves, making some headlines, and some films that are honestly more important than the medium itself, and talking about a bigger picture. So let's get right into it, and I'll kick us off. I'm going to talk about a film that I had the pleasure of seeing last week, and that's The Voice of Hind Rajab. So this movie, I'm gonna attack from a different point of view because it's a very specific movie. It's about Hind Rajab, who, if you guys know and you guys know our channel, we've been very openly supportive of the Palestinian cause and all the death and destruction that we've seen over the last 2 years. We've not been shy of talking about that, giving the numbers, giving our point of view. But when it comes to this film, this is where really the two worlds collide, the world that we cover day to day on Cinema Debate and the real world itself. So quick breakdown for those who do not know. Hind Rajab was a 5-year-old, was only 5 years old when she was killed in Gaza after her family's car was struck over 300 times by IDF tanks. I want to just reiterate that there were no fighters in the vehicle. There was no return fire. It was simply just a war crime against civilians. And in her last moments, she desperately screamed for help on the phone with the Palestinian Red Crescent as she watched all of her family die around her. And ultimately, even when 2 paramedics were sent and given the green light to go and reach her, they were bombed by the IDF as well. And when they finally were able to reach Hind's body 12 days later, she was dead. And, her story is larger than any film. It kind of represents Gaza's suffering as a whole. It's like a microcosm of the entire situation. And hopefully this film can open the hearts and minds of viewers, despite every painful minute it is to watch it. So with that kind of as a foreground to the film, I want to next talk about the film itself. So I want to point out, this is not a documentary. This is a docudrama. It's a film with actors. It is a movie by every sense of the imagination, hitting around the 2-hour mark. And it's also honestly essential viewing for anyone who is still blind to the war crimes that are happening against the Palestinians in Gaza. I think ceasefire or not, there's still issues permeating, and we encourage you guys to do your research on that. But ultimately, the film is a harrowing reminder of life under occupation, the horrors of war, and the cost of remaining silent amidst a genocide. What I really appreciate about this movie is that it did not get too graphic. We have a lot of films these days that are going to be bloody for bloody's sake and show things for showing's sake. This film wanted to honor Hind's memory. Again, she was only 5 years old. So they do everything in a very tasteful way while still being absolutely heartbreaking. The film is told from a perspective of the paramedics and the Palestinian Red Crescent. So each of the actors are playing an actual person who was in those offices trying to coordinate the saving of Hind. And it's honestly just a very heartbreaking film that all the story you guys all know, I already gave it to you, but I think what made it most heartbreaking is that this film used actual recordings. They had permission to use the actual recordings that Hind was having on the phone with the paramedics, and they would tell you every single line of this recording is actually Hind's voice. And then you have the actors playing against that recording. So it's a very unique structure as a film. And I got to be honest with you guys, I was crying. The whole crowd was crying. There's no way you're not going to shed tears over this movie. By the end of it, you're absolutely just a wreck. We did have the opportunity to have a QA with the director, and she kind of spoke about the different trials and tribulations of how to put this movie forward, including at release, they actually did a mini premiere at the in Gaza, and that was a huge moment for the film to do an actual film premiere in Gaza. And I want to say that this film is actually already playing or has exhibitors in every single country in the world except for maybe 2, and one of them, unfortunately, is my country, the United States of America. So right now, this film does not have a distributor. The only reason I even saw it in theaters is because I'm a Critics' Choice member, and I was invited because this film is in contention for best international film. So because of that, I was there. I watched it, and it's doing great on Rotten Tomatoes. It has over 90% right now, and best believe I'll be adding to the positive end of that Rotten Tomatoes score. But I do want to say that I'm hoping that this review, my social media post, that you guys can go ahead and find a way to watch it. Or if you cannot find a way to watch it locally, push for it on social media that someone buys it. There are some big Hollywood actors who have put their names behind this movie, including Joaquin Phoenix, including Mark Ruffalo, Brad Pitt. These are all big names who are now attached to this movie and pushing for it. So I want to say, as on behalf of the Farooqi Bros and Cinema Debate as a whole, we are pushing for this movie to get a full release in America for people to be able to see it. The fact that it's not being shown because people think it's, whatever they may think it is, whatever labels they want to attach to it. I think the viewer today is smarter than ever before. They're able to disseminate facts from propaganda, and they're able to come into something honestly and watch it. So, in my opinion, The Voice of Hind, Rajab is the most important movie of 2025, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I wish Zian and Samir could review this movie with me, but unfortunately, like I said, it's a very limited release. And even the fact that I got a chance to see it was big enough. So I'm hoping more press screenings are extended so I get the boys in, and I hope a full release is extended down the road so we can get the whole crowd in. So that's what I wanted to say about The Voice of Hind. I hope you guys get a chance to see it so we can all review it together one more time. But that was my review. 5 out of 5 for The Voice of Hind, Rajab. So there's no easy way to transition, honestly. This is a movie that honestly is bigger than the medium we covered, and we want to still talk about the film, still talk about the industry, and talk about not only this movie, but other movies in the sense of how we always talk about it, which is, how it is with Cinema Debate. We're talking about award races, we're talking about budgets, we're talking about box office, we're talking about everything. So while The Voice of Hind, Rajab is a huge international film, and I hope it continues to do well and continues to build momentum, there is another international film that I do want to highlight, and that is Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice. So I want to talk about this film, but because I kind of did a solo soliloquy for the first 7 minutes of the show discussing the last film, I want to maybe pass it over to Zian now to give his review of No Other Choice, and I'll come back around after you guys go. So what did you think about Park Chan-wook's latest film?
So this is a film I got to see in New York Film Festival a while back. It was actually the first day, so it's opening night of New York Film Festival. It was like the kind of the highlight film of that day. And I thought it was really great. There's a lot to take in. It's a long film. I think it was a little over 2.5 hours, even close to 3. I forgot, but I felt really engaged throughout. I think the acting performances by the main actor, his name escapes me, but I think he did a great job kind of showing this very desperate man who's trying to just survive in this society where it's so hard to get a job. And somebody who's in computer science field like me can relate to that. So it's like, all right, I see myself in him, where it's like you're in a cutthroat. Like that's what the workplace is right now. It's just a cutthroat environment where corporations will cut you out no matter how long you've been there, no matter how much service you've given them or what you've done for them. You're just expendable like everybody else. And you kind of feel that kind of underdog relation to him as it goes along. Though, of course, this is a little more out there in terms of things he's willing to do to kind of secure his position for his next job. But I think kind of that high level satirical view of how far a person will go to kind of give himself a job or secure themselves in this society is like that. It still permeates throughout. That's like relevant no matter where you are in the world. And I think everything that was handled between the action and the comedy and the suspense, it was like all done very well and very kind of leveled against each other. So it never felt like it was overly jokey. It didn't feel like it was overly like, American Psycho or anything like that. But it was like a good balance of every kind of aspect, which I thought was good. And it helped the runtime kind of go along. It didn't feel it lagging, didn't feel it kind of slowing down, at least for me. And it ended up being, there are a few film festival ones I'm still kind of weighing. But for now, it's in my top 1 or 2 of the film festival. I'm going to give my full ranking. It'll be on Cinebate's site later on in the year. But I think I really enjoyed it when it came out of it. And I didn't have too many complaints. I ended up giving it a 4.5. It's somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5 for me, though, at this point, kind of now looking back. But I still think it was really just a well-made film.
Samir, what about you? What do you think about No Other Choice? I think it's on a TIFF, right?
Yeah, and I agree with everything Jan's said so far. I'm pretty big on Park Chan-wook. I haven't seen all his films, but I think so far this has been the weakest, even though I gave it an extremely high score, like 4.5, which just goes to show how good Park Chan-wook really is. The commentary is obviously extremely relevant. The cutthroat job market, which I know very well. The comedy and the thriller aspect of it was very enjoyable. Um, I like the way I like how it transitions from the job market into like how technology is kind of moving, how society's kind of moving in a direction of replacing people, and it takes that in a very literal sense also. And by the end, it's like AI and technology is taking over, and it's less about working together and more about competing in that sense. So I enjoyed it very much. The acting was very good, and cinematography also very good. So I'm pretty high on this movie. I think I'm a solid 4.5. So yeah, you're
Oh,
muted.
you're muted, yes. I had a chance to see the film as well, and I think the official release date for everyone is sometime in December, if I'm not mistaken. But it has been doing the film festival circuit. It's been winning a couple of things as well along the way. And honestly, I'm pretty similar to you guys on it. I mean, with Park Chan Wook's commentary, I think it is very relevant. It's something that all of us can, in some point of our life, everyone's I think has gone through something like this. At some point in everyone's life, we've seen a family member go through something like this. It's just the nature of today's economy. It's the nature of today's world that when you lose your job, you lose your livelihood, you lose your sense of self, you lose a lot of things along the way. And in this case, it's kind of a dramatized and more extreme version, almost satirical in some ways. A lot of dark humor, dark comedy things. John mentioned that himself. So when you're going through the full film, I'm like, I wasn't as high on it as you guys, so I did end up going to a solid 4. At points, I was thinking 3.5, and the reason I was doing it is because maybe some of the humor wasn't landing to me, or maybe I was thinking that it was getting a little too outlandish with some of the choices that the main character was making, because his sense of livelihood, and he comes from a fairly affluent family and trying to make that work. I feel like some of the things that were happening just felt like I just couldn't tell if like satire, the line between satire and parody, I felt like a few times it almost jumped into parody, and when it was doing that, it was not necessarily something I was truly interested in. But when they were going deep into the more psychological discussions, that I honestly think came through with the actor's conversations with his wife. Maybe I have their names pulled up here, but I don't want to mispronounce it and kind of I don't want to like do that, but I can try. Lee Buen-hun is the person who plays the main character, and then the person who plays the wife is Son Yi-jin. So both of these two, I think, did a great job of playing against each other. So I did like it. It's in my top 10 of the year, I think. I haven't actually done that formally and went through it. It could be top 15, but I think it's top 10 of the year, yeah, for sure. Towards the bottom end, maybe, or middle to bottom. But I do think it is a very strong film. I think it's a very strong contender for Best International Film of the Year. It is not my choice for Best International Film of the Year because of the film we just mentioned before, The Voice of Hind, Rajab, but it is right there in that consideration. So I think overall very strong. I think it was pretty funny for the most part, and I thought the ending commentary, I don't want to get too much into it, but what Samir was mentioning, talking about the what technology is doing, what AI is doing to the society, is also very relevant. So I think this kind of touches all of it, and in the end, listen, he had no other choice. What can you say? So let's pause it there and let's keep going. But I do want to say, I know we already discussed it, but I want to jump back to Voice of Hind, Rajab. I feel like it was a disservice on my end to not mention the actors who were in this movie. There's only 4 of them. It's a very tight cast. So I do want to mention their names quickly because they are one is Saja Kilani. They're all Palestinian actors, so I want to give them the spotlight. I hope that they're given their presence in the award shows coming up. There's Motaz Malhiz, there's Amer Hilal, and then there's Clara Huri. So these are the 4 main actors who played in this film. And not only do I want to give them a shout out, but I want to give the actual people who they were playing a shout out, because what they went through was absolutely heartbreaking through this course of this war and trying to save him. So I want to give them the shout out. Here's a quick picture of the 4 main actors so you guys get a chance to see. Again, I'm pushing this movie hard, but I thought I can just come in here and specifically for Saja Khilani, who plays this woman here, who plays Rana in the film. I would honestly keep her in consideration for Best Actress. That's how convincing her performance was. So that's the last point I want to make on that movie before we keep going. So the next film I want to talk about is 2 back-to-back from Netflix. So let's get right into it. The first one is Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. This is the latest film from this is the right title, right? I got it right? Yeah. This is the latest film from Rian Johnson. It's the latest film in the Knives Out trilogy, or is it 4 movies now? It's 3, right? Yeah.
Trilogy,
this is the third
yeah.
So, Zion, you got a chance to see this one, so I'll let you solo the review here. What did you think about the latest movie from Ryan Johnson and Daniel Craig?
I liked it. I mean, I'm a sucker for this kind of whodunit mystery type movie, so it's really in my wheelhouse. But I think this one, it was different from the other two. I think when you compare the first one's like a good mix of comedy and lightness and mystery, and the second one was really comedic. Like I felt like it was the most comedic of all of them. This one was surprisingly a little darker. I wouldn't say in tone, but just the way everything's being presented and kind of the characters themselves and everything. It was just a little more toned down. It wasn't like everybody's jumpy and laughy and whatever. It was kind of being taken self-serious. There was still jokes, of course. Like there's a comedy peppered throughout, and it was funny, and it got laughs in the screening that I was in. So that was all done well. But I feel like just in comparison to the other two, it felt just a little more toned down, a little more serious in a sense. And then the cast, I think, did a great job. Josh O'Connor really was the lead, excuse me, aside from Daniel Craig. And they had a whole slew of other people like Kaylee Spaney and what's her name? Yeah, Josh Brolin and a lot of other people that really kind of filled the cast. And I think everybody played a good part in the movie, but it was less about everybody individually, kind of the other films, and more about the ensemble together. And really, Josh O'Connor above them all as the main character. And I think his performance kind of really like you're following him as a main character, and he really just carried the film in a sense that his kind of relatability or affability is kind of just makes you engaged. Like, okay, what's going to happen and how is everything going to go? I'm not going to really talk about the mystery at all because I want whoever's going to watch to go in completely fresh. But I think in terms of the engagement, I was engaged the whole time. It did a good job. All the actors did a good job, and it was an interesting kind of resolution to this film. I don't know if I was like completely sold on it, but I liked kind of how everything was presented at the end. But I think overall, just the mystery and how everything kind of unfolded before like the final reveal, I think it was very engaging. It was fun, like these type of movies should be, and I think he did a solid job at kind of Ryan Johnson did a solid job at putting this one together and making it different from what we've seen, but also familiar in the sense that you know what you're going to get by going to a Knives Out movie. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5, which I'm probably going to stick at.
Not bad. I think it's coming out around Thanksgiving, so not too far away from now. And we'll check it out then. So the next film I want to discuss is another Netflix film. This is another animated film that is coming out also shortly. I'm gonna get the release date right now before we start it. Actually, release date. All right, yeah, this is coming out. Actually, it already just came out. So let's get right into it. So that's gonna be the next one I want to talk about is the Netflix animated film In Your Dreams. This is a big year for Netflix, honestly, from the animation standpoint. Obviously, it just came off of K-pop Demon Hunters, which is a juggernaut, beyond juggernaut, most watched movie on Netflix all time, most watched streaming movie of all time. It's gonna probably win Best Animated Picture this year. They're on a tear, but Netflix is also releasing other films as they continue to build their animation slate. And one of the ones that I got a chance to see a couple of weeks back before embargo, and that's In Your Dreams. It's a film by director Alex Wu, and he's coming from Pixar. It's kind of where he got his startup, got his boots on, and that's where he built a lot of his sensibilities. So when he comes over to Netflix, immediately you get a sense when you see this film is that, oh, I get a feel of some Pixar vibes here, from the character, from the family vibes, from some of the humor. You do feel that Pixar feel to it. However, I think what makes this movie really shine and kind of move outside of the Pixar bubble is Wu's kind of identity and how he connected with that Studio Ghibli style feel. So I got to speak with him pretty extensively and discuss this film, and he really spoke about kind of those influences that came into his life. Obviously, we all know Miyazaki; he's like the GOAT when it comes to this kind of this medium. But seeing other people take that influence, we've seen a lot of people do Studio Ghibli style copies, and we've seen a lot of people do Pixar copies. But doing something where you're jointly influenced by both and you're creating your own fresh image, that is kind of what in Your Dreams kind of brings to the table. So I think this film, great animation, strong voice casting, surprisingly pretty adult themes. I mean, you're going through it tackles the issue of divorce and how kids kind of see that play out. It goes through a lot of things like that, and ultimately what dreams do for kids, and it has that Disney feel to it, but with a darker undertone. And ultimately, I'm actually very happy with how the film came out. I think it's a full family film. I think it's for everybody to go and check out. So definitely a strong film. Again, strong cast, poignant themes, great set pieces, humorous moments. I think everyone has what they need. Great Thanksgiving movie as well. So definitely recommend Netflix's In Your Dreams. I personally came out thinking it's a 4-star movie, so out of 5. So that's my review. But good stuff all around. I think Netflix is on a pretty good momentum with these movies. So next, we have a couple of movies that came out this weekend that Zian, you got a chance to see. So I want to get your thoughts on both of them. I want to start with the movie that just came out this weekend. Surprisingly, did not do that well at the box office. I thought it would be better than it did, but that is Running Man, Glenn Powell's latest vehicle. So you could take. I mean, obviously, this is a remake of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. What did you think about it? I'm not sure if you saw the original. Do you see it together? But if you didn't see the original, so you're going in fresh. What did you think about this movie?
Going in fresh, but I thought this movie is like tailor-made to come out in the summer. This is such a summer blockbuster. Everybody go watch. It's a popcorn film. It's just like a fun time, like. And I know it tackles, or at least gloss over, themes of class warfare and capitalism and like the destructive properties of it when it goes too far, and kind of the dystopian future angle that we all know. That's a typically used angle. Obviously, this film is derived from the work of Stephen King, but I think what they did in terms of the movie, the visual effects, the performances by Glenn Powell and the rest of the cast, Coleman Domingo, I literally just said the other guy's name from the other movie, but I forgot his name. Agent K from Men in Black, forgot his name. Not Tom Lee Jones, the other guy. What's his name?
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, Josh Brolin. Notice I said Agent K and not Thanos. Yeah, Josh Brolin, I think they're really the kind of the main trio. They all did a great job in their roles. It was surprisingly like almost 2.5 hours, but you really don't feel the runtime at all. I think the way it's kind of paced as like he's running through and kind of trying to survive over the days, it keeps the movie going. Like there's momentum as things happen and events take place. So it was overall just a fun film. I feel like if you're going into this movie thinking it's going to be some subtle commentary on capitalism, like Parasite or something like that, then this is not the movie for you. This movie is just like a fun action movie where you just follow in the adventure, you kind of see how it ends. And afterwards, after I saw the movie, then I quickly read into what the ending was in the original book, and they actually took a different way in the movie, surprisingly. I understand why, but I won't mention it to avoid spoilers for anybody's willing to see it. But it is interesting kind of how they diverted and did their own thing in this movie. And also there's like a fun Easter egg for the original film adaptation where like the new currency is called New Dollars. It has Arnold Schwarzenegger on like the dollar bill. So that's like a fun callback, I guess, to the original film adaptation. So different stuff that was kind of fun. One note I will say before I close off is that it's a whole movie about like capitalism and blah, blah, blah. But there were so many product placements that are like so in your face. It's like actually hilarious. Like Monster and like Liquid Death and all these things. Like they're advertising it in the movie like it's a product in that world. But it's so clearly just like a product placement for you, the audience. So it's like, okay, like now it's like you're going too far because then you're undercutting the whole theme of the movie, But either way, it was just a fun movie. So had me engaged from start to finish, which for me, that's a very, very important point to any movie. And another movie that I know is going to come down the stream or in the recording right now that we're going to discuss with Samir, it did the opposite where it put me to sleep. So that obviously hurts the score. This kept me engaged. It was fun. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. I think it's just like a fun, solid blockbuster film. I can see why Glenn Powell's like under Tom Cruise's wing because he really is that kind of generic action star mold where, though it obviously does not have the acting chops of Tom Cruise, but you can pick him up and place him into different action movies and he'll do well, like he did here. So I think solid movie, just a fun movie.
Oh man, you're tossing those 4 stars around like candy. I don't know the way you described it. I was thinking 3.5 be coming out, but 4. Damn. I was. I don't know, but I was thinking you were. I was almost convinced. They said 2.5 hours. I'm like, I'm not sure I could put 2.5 hours in this movie. Like, it wasn't convincing me that much. But I don't know. A little long. Uh,
It
I
was
saw.
engaging.
I
The
saw
way they paced it was good.
for some reason, the most viral tweet I saw about this movie, and it was like a quote tweet about just the movie itself. It was just a picture of Seth Rogen from that Apple TV show that just came out. What's it called? The Director, where it's like the movie's good, but then 3 hours later he's like on the floor, like trying like the movie's not finishing, like so. And I was like, oh, I wonder if the runtime is a big issue here, but yeah, let's talk about another movie that you saw this weekend. This came out the weekend before, but we were at a family wedding, so let's get a chance to talk about it now. And that's Predator: Badlands. Predator. I'll just intro you in, but Predator has seen a pretty big rejuvenation in recent years, especially with the movie that came out during COVID. The name is escaping me. That came out for Hulu and just did crazy numbers, and it was the precursor to this. Like the Predator Badlands is following up on that. Is it called The Hunt or something? I don't even know, but
Called Prey or something.
Prey, yeah. So this is kind of like building on that original block. This is actually on my watch list eventually, but Zion, you guys didn't see it. So what do you think about Predator Badlands?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. It was I was never into Predator franchise, so it's coming this basically fresh, and it is kind of like a reboot / restart in a sense, but it is connected into that wider world of Alien and Weyland-Yutani Corporation. That's a big factor in the film, which is really the reason I came to the film, because I want to see what the connective tissue is gonna be to the wider Alien franchise, and hopefully one day it brings everything together in a new Alien vs. Predator film. But as a movie itself, I thought it was solid. It was surprisingly much more, I don't want to say comedic, but there were lighter tones than I ever would have expected going into this, or that the trailers showed. But I think the dynamic between Deck, who's the main character, and Thea, who's like the android, and some other like cast of characters, it's like it became almost like this ragtag adventure film, which is absolutely not what I was expecting. But I think still it did a good job for what it was trying to do, of build this character and kind of the world, or these characters rather, and then them going through their journey, and him kind of going through his character arc and from the start to finish. I think they handle all of that well, and it's set up the foundation for more to come, which is really what I was looking for. And I think what it had to do well, which is action and there's visual effects, it did well. So kudos to them. That was handled very well. I think just tonally, it was just a little off for me. I would have appreciated if it was a little more serious. And it was also a little predictable, kind of just how everything was going. So I ended up giving it a 3.5, but I think it's still a solid film and a good foundation builder for what's to come.
All right, so from there, let's focus on another movie that came out, and this is the latest Yorgos vehicle, and that's Bugonia. Maybe Samir should go first because I haven't give 2 reviews in a row. So Samir, what do you think about the latest M. Stone Yorgos combination movie? It's the 3rd time now.
I know that Grain is really angry about it, but I actually enjoyed Bugonia. I haven't seen.
Who's angry about?
I hadn't seen Yorgos' last film, but I guess if you know his movies, you kind of know what to expect from it. But surprisingly, it was a little bit different. It was very dialogue heavy, which I guess is why which is why he didn't enjoy it as much. But me, I was pretty engaged with it. I think I liked the commentary that it had throughout most of the movie. I remember watching the movie and thinking that this is like it's giving a commentary about how when you're so close, how like red pill pipeline people are so close to class consciousness, and then they take like an extreme left turn into blaming immigrants or conspiracies. It was like that's what the main characters are doing here. Every criticism that they have about society or CEOs or whatever it's pretty well grounded, but and the black and white scenes that kind of make you sympathize with the working class, that all works. But because it's Yorgos, you know that he can't help himself and make it strange in the end. This movie really reminded me of Eddington, which came out earlier this year, which was also like basically about the contemporary political environment, and it kind of has a similar violent shift in the middle. That was kind of similar, but for me, Eddington was very bloated in the way that this wasn't. But the problem with this is that because because Yorgos kind of is sipping his own Kool-Aid in this one, it kind of takes the wrong turn politically. It kind of reaches the wrong conclusion, in my opinion. It takes a very nihilistic approach to it. It's kind of like, oh, the world is bad, the world is a terrible place, and this is just how it is. Look at how bad it is. That's kind of like the conclusion that I got off of it. So thematically, I left kind of disappointed. Overall, though, I think it was pretty enjoyable. I don't know, yeah.
I don't disagree with any of the points you made, but it was just a boring movie. And it's like the set pieces, like all the other films that he's done, not including Poor Things, because obviously he put everything to that one, especially in terms of set pieces. But something like Kinds of Kindness or similar kind of grounded films, there was diverse kind of things happening in the movie. But this one was like, they were just in the basement or the house for like 2 hours straight. And it was like so boring. I'm like, because like you said, they do touch upon kind of that, delving into the conspiracy theorist kind of thing, like what happens to a person or whatever. But I think they just like lingered on it for so long. And it was like, all right, I'm getting tired. I need the movie to keep moving forward. And it just wasn't. Of course, it was just building up to the final kind of act of it. But I think it just took too long to get there. And there wasn't enough going on in the middle. I think it finally got interesting, like when there was external factors, like when the cops showed up, or when the guy himself, the main character, I forgot his name, Jesse Plemons, he left, and that was like towards the end of the film. Things like that is okay. It's moving forward. There's tension building, but every time they were just in the basement or like doing the torture or whatever, it's like I'm getting bored of the movie. Like I need to just move forward plot wise. So that's my biggest really complaint, and that's kind of the antithesis of what it said about Running Man, where sure it's not as deep, quote unquote, but it's just an enjoyable movie, So I classify them in the same kind of type, but Running Man, I was engaged, and this one kind of had a hard time staying awake. I did close my eyes a little bit for a few times, which is always just a bad thing. But that's a telltale sign for me where it's hurting the film. But I think all the pieces were there for something good, and really this would have been a 3 out of 5 movie for me. But I gave it a 3.5 because I liked the entire ending sequence, not the final part, but the part where he kind of takes her after he goes back to the hospital, and then everything from that point onward until he goes in the closet, and then right after the closet stuff. I enjoyed all of that, but then her final conclusion as the Emma Stone, I think that it lost me again. I was like, okay, whatever, whatever it had to go, or whatever way he chose for it to go, it happened. I was like, okay, whatever. And like Smith said, it's like a very nihilistic approach to kind of the resolution of everything. But whatever. I thought it was just okay. So, but that kind of final stretch bumped it back up, because then I was like, I'm in the movie now. I'm engaged. I'm very interested in what's happening. It's like the thrill is back into it. So I ended up bumping it up to 3.5, which is probably what it's going to stay at for me.
Listen, it's about starting a dialogue. Okay.
What dialogue?
and listen, that's the point. And that's the point I wanted. And listen,
about what, the bees? What do the bees have to do with it?
The bees?
You kept talking about the bees.
The bees, they survived at the end, so that's what's important.
Listen,
it was a lot of fake deep stuff. So that's why
the humans that are the problem, which is what the conclusion you reached.
Listen,
it's pretty bad, but because the acting was so good, like Jesse Plemons is so good, and I guess all the actors were good.
I'll give it to that. Yeah, the performances were good.
What I'm gonna add to the thing is that Samir, you mentioned Eddington as like a comparison point, and I'm actually gonna take that comparison point further and be like, Yorgos and Ari Aster to me are similar in some ways, not necessarily in style, but they're similar in being self-indulgent, extremely self-satisfying, very stubborn in whatever the point they want to make, and it can go one of two ways. Either it is going to be amazing and everyone's along for the ride, or it's going to be a dumpster fire. And usually not many middle grounds here. And with Yorgos, this is pretty controversial. A few years ago, we were discussing it, but I was a little more positive on the Poor Things movie than, let's say, Zian was. And then every subsequent movie, to be honest, is not necessarily huge fan of. And this movie, didn't really speak to me. I think I don't know if Samir or one of you guys said that, like the comment that like it never. I don't know if we guys said it kind of goes off the rails at some point. And for me, like, was it ever on the rails? Like like it was just kind of doing the most, and it's a movie that sets itself up for like conspiracy and economics and the problem with corporations, and then in the end doesn't have anything to say. You said Zion said, like, what is it trying to say? Maybe nothing. And if your end point is I'm gonna be as mean-spirited as possible in my final message, then ultimately the viewer can go at it one of two ways. Either gonna be like, well, hats off to you, Yorgos. You really did show us all that humanity is bad. Or they're going to be like, what was the point of wasting my time in this movie? Like, you could have made that point earlier, and the route you took was, through Albuquerque, through the mountains, and back in, then even though there was a straight line path forward. So that's kind of my overall thoughts. I'm actually going to give it 2.5 out of 5. I'm going to go a little low on it. And that's my overall thoughts on Bugonia. That's it. So
I'll make one final point that one other kind of good thing about this, which is different from something like Beau is Afraid, which is just like a terrible ending. With this, it's like after everything, it's like you look back and then recontextualize everything that Jesse Plemons' character was doing, who's obviously portrayed as more of a villain, and then you kind of think about everything again towards the end, like, okay, what was he actually doing? And then you realize, he was the hero, So, but it's like the way it's presented from the beginning is like, oh yeah, he's some hick conspiracy theorist. He's insane, blah, blah, blah. In the end, it's like he almost gets vindicated. But I think that also, it make you think back on it. I did appreciate that as well. But then just the final sequence kind of just threw me off.
Somewhere in this movie, there's somewhat interesting story about the dangers of social media disinformation, the dangers of corporate malpractice. But in the end, I feel like he just has nothing to say about it. It's like, he just says, this is a problem. No exploration other than that. This is a problem. But okay. So from there, going to our last topic. It's our what to watch, the Farooqi Bros recommendations. Like I said, always doesn't have to be a film. Could be anything. TV, book, video game. Whatever comes to mind. Question is, what is coming to mind? And for that, I must go to Samir. So what do you recommend anything?
Oh, well, am I first? You go first. I'll go next.
I couldn't think of anything, but okay. So let me think about it. I recommend, and this maybe will come in its own little video. Honestly, maybe I'll think about it. We'll see if the channel can handle it. But I recommend a theme park, and that's Epic Universe at Universal Studios Orlando. Okay, so you can recommend an experience too. That's the thing with what to watch. It doesn't have to be watched. It can be anything. Just an experience. So I recommend that if you're a fan of Universal Studios, the studio, and you're also a fan of Harry Potter and Super Mario and all of the original Universal horror movies like Frankenstein and Werewolf and all that fun stuff, and if you like How to Train Your Dragon, this new park kind of has everything. Like you can really go in there and explore. And what I always loved about these theme parks is that if you're a movie guy, you're really getting your itch scratched at these parks because there's something for any kind of genre or anything you're interested in. So if you're just a film fan, you should go Epic Universe because there's some cool stuff there. So that's my recommendation. A little expensive recommendation, but it's a recommendation.
I guess if you're rich, you can follow Greg's recommendation, but I'll recommend Chainsaw Man.
You mean the movie we already reviewed last week?
Yeah, but that's the only thing I've seen right now.
How would you recommend the series then?
The
Like
whole
you've seen the
show?
movie, not recommend the recommend the show.
Fine, watch Chainsaw Man the series. It's pretty good.
Anything else? Any elaboration on that? Is it good animation? Is it good acting? Is there anything?
Great animation. Yep.
Yo.
Pretty interesting concept,
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I mess with it.
You mess with it. All right. Now, Zion, what's your what to watch?
What to watch? I don't know.
What to play? What to be anything?
Let's see. Let me go to my list. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing.
He's got nothing going on right now. No games or nothing.
Nothing yet. I still have to be Death Stranding too. I'm at the end of it, but.
Well, there you go. Like it's like in the awkward ending. It's like, oh, I guess we're just gonna sit around. Like this is an awkward moment.
Yeah, it's like in Family Guy where the cow is like, "Oh, I can't stay here." It's like, and then they're all staring straight into the camera, or whatever. You know, they're staring off in the distance.
Seems like a real burden. Well, that's pretty much it. From myself, from Zayan, and from Samir.
I recommend Frankenstein. Go watch Frankenstein.
Well, we also reviewed that last week too. So
Yet both of you haven't seen it. Interesting.
Listen, it just came out in theater, Netflix right now. I think a chance. And I want to see it in theaters. I'm still holding out hope. That's the problem.
You gotta check Paris theater schedules.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Alamo Draft House. I have to check it out at some point.
That's where I saw it. It's not a good room. The layout isn't good, but it's a.
You saw the one in Manhattan or the one in Brooklyn?
In Manhattan.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see what times look like then. Well, that's pretty much it. Next week we have some big movies for you. I think we're gonna be doing Wicked, maybe Marty Supreme if that embargo broke, and a couple other stuff too. So we'll get right to that. But for now, what did you guys think about the current movies we discussed? Between The Voice of Hind, Rijab, between No Other Choice, Wake Up Dead Man, and Knives Out Mystery, Netflix's In Your Dreams, Running Man, Predator, Badlands, Bugonia. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments and to join the debate that the Farooqi Bros have every week. So once again, from myself, from Zion, and from Samir, we're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.